Elevation Nation. It's always nice when we get to have on a guest who we see so many similarities between their story and our story. Working a full-time job, maybe creating content on the side, and then going out and founding their own company. And our guest today has done just that. And so I'm so excited to get into her story while sharing some of the similarities of ours. Natalie Barbu, welcome to Elevation Nation. You are a former consultant, now founder of Rella, which we'll get into in a bit. A content creator since you were, I did some stalking, maybe like 13. I went OG on some of the videos. I learned all about your fall fashion haul from 2017. So we threw it way back. And also the host of the Real podcast. Nat, welcome to Elevation Nation. We are so hyped to have you here.
Thank you so much. That's such a great intro. I don't know if anyone's ever done a deep dive where they've looked at my fall fashion haul from when I was
especially
in
a
high school.
Boy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was just learning. We were just checking it out, making sure.
I mean, It is Elevation Nation. We have to elevate in some way. Natalie, I mean, we're going to elevate the heck out of you right now. Like, this whole conversation is going to be about elevating. But it's great to finally have you on the podcast. It's only been, 8 months now or 9 months? That's Sam's fault.
Yeah, it's been, whenever we booked the first podcast, I was like, oh my God, you guys book like so many months in advance. And then we pushed it back one more time and I was like, wow.
Yeah. All right. So fair enough. Like, before I went on my honeymoon, before I got married, I think is when we talked, and we had to do a lot of planning in advance. Now it's not as crazy, but Sam did push really far. So that's why we're here. And I know you're sitting at home in Florida, and some crazy stuff's going to happen with the weather, and we're sending good vibes your way to everyone you know down in Florida. Hope you're feeling good about it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm thankfully in Miami, so I'm feeling fine, but definitely concerned for the West Coast Floridians.
No doubt. Well, we're thinking about everyone who's affected by the hurricane, but back to elevating. Natalie, we do start every single Elevation Nation podcast the exact same way. And we ask our new elevators about their elevator pitch. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Natalie. I am first and foremost a content creator. I always like to start with that because I've been doing it since I was 15 actually, but for 13 years. So you were close, yeah. But I've been doing it for the past 13 years. Started on YouTube with fashion and beauty and makeup content, and then slowly kind of shifted more towards lifestyle, and my audience has grown with me. But I ended up doing it all throughout high school, college. After college, I did work at Accenture, so I have that consulting background that you guys also have at one of the big consulting companies. And I was actually able to quit my job because I started making more money doing social media and content creation, and so decided to leave that to do social media full time. And then I actually started a social media agency where I worked one-on-one with creators and brands and helped them build their social media platform or social media profiles and start treating themselves more as businesses, or for the brands that I was working with, just managing their social media accounts and creating content for them. And then through that, I started a company called Rella, which is a tech startup, and it's a software platform where we make it really easy for social media teams to collaborate and manage all of their content. So it's like a project management tool for social media teams and managers. And so now I'm working full-time doing that and still doing content creation.
Full-time elevator. What a pitch. Wow.
Thank you.
Incredible. I'm really curious, back when you were, you said 15 is when you started doing content?
Yep.
What got you started?
Yeah, so I was just bored at home one day, and I remember watching YouTube videos of other girls around my age, they were also 14, 15, 16, just in their rooms filming makeup tutorials. And I was like, wait, this looks so much fun. I could do this. I just always had this thought that oh, how hard could this be? Let me try it. And so that day I remember watching my first YouTube videos, and that day I set up my computer, opened up Photo Booth, and filmed my first makeup tutorial.
No way. I feel like we all had the Photo Booth era, doing all the funny pictures and the effects and everything. I guess you took it to a way further level than most of us.
Yeah, and I've always been I was always the kid that like wanted to film my parents like home videos like in like or my family's home videos and like be in front of the camera doing like these skits, and I would recruit my siblings to like do these little like shows and skits with me, and I would film them on my computer or I would film them like with my parents' camera. And so once I discovered YouTube, I was like, wait, this is perfect for me. I can upload my cringy content. And uploaded it, and that was my first taste of like people following you that didn't know you. Like Facebook was a thing at the time, but you would only friend request people that you knew in real life. So YouTube was the first time I had people that I didn't know in real life like see my content, and I thought it was so cool, and so I kind of just stuck with it.
I mean, it's an impressive journey. I have to fill you in on what preteen boys did instead of makeup tutorials or being in photo booth. I remember my friends and I like pretending we were professional athletes and trying to film like highlight videos of us doing cool catches on like a trampoline or stuff like that. And I just like vividly remember that era of us creating content, but we never put it anywhere because no one wanted to watch 13-year-old Sam jump on a trampoline and catch a football. But I think we all kind of grew up in this content-ish creation era.
Yeah.
We 100% did.
Yeah, I mean, it was everyone was watching it, but not as many people were actually like filming and like uploading content.
I like remember for one of the holidays, I asked my mom for like one of those blue camcorders or something. I don't know. You could like take a video and then you could just like plug it right into your computer and it could become like a YouTube video. To Sam's point, we used to take a lot of videos of us like skiing, not doing crazy things. At the time we thought we were great. We never posted them anywhere. But man, what if we did? What if we did?
What if you did? What if you...
I don't know, Parker. I think you'd probably still be where you are. No offense. Let's leave the content creation to Natalie. But yeah, I think, you know, it's really cool to see you obviously stick through with something for so long and going a little bit ahead, right? Obviously going to college, very similar to Parker and myself. Everyone told us, and I imagine everyone told you, like, Natalie, it's cool that you have this content creation thing. Go get a real job, right? And that's when you ended up in consulting. I'd love to learn a little bit more about what that path looked like, because I think it's very similar to many of the feelings that I think Parker and I felt right out of college.
Yeah, so I never thought that I could be a full-time content creator because truthfully at the time it wasn't really as popular. I graduated college in 2018, so it wasn't that common to be full-time like influencer or full-time creator. So, and for me, I wasn't making enough money. I was making good money for a college student, but definitely not enough to support my life. So I always thought, you know, I'm going to get another job after this. But for me, I studied industrial engineering in school, and I never wanted to go into like engineering. Like a lot of people that study that go more into very like technical roles, and I wanted to do something a bit more business related, and so that's why I chose to apply to like just consulting companies, because I was like, okay, I'm going to be able to see the business side of things and kind of like dip my hand into all of these different projects, and that was kind of my mindset why I wanted to work for a consulting company with my background. And so I always thought that I would work a corporate job for 2 years and I would quit and I would do my own thing. Like that was my plan. If you ask me when I was a freshman, if you ask me when I was a senior, like always I would say I'm going to work for 2 years and I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to start my own thing. And so I always knew I wanted to be a business owner, but I didn't know what exactly. And so once I had the opportunity, I was still doing content. I saw that I was making money. I didn't ever think I could do it full time, but once I started making more money off of it, I was like, wait, this could be something that I do full time, and it's going to open up a lot of doors. It's going to allow me to do other things full time as well. Because again, I've always wanted to be a business owner, not just a creator. And so once I was able to quit my job, I was like, okay, my social media income is going to support me, but I'm going to use this to also start something else too. And so I'm really glad I had that corporate experience, but I always knew that like, that was just the stepping stone. I eventually wanted to do my own thing, even if it wasn't content creation.
So you spent 2 years, you said?
No, I actually only spent 9 months, but my plan was 2 years.
Okay, so let's talk through that. What happened to the other year and 3 months, essentially? 9 months in, you're sitting there at your desk or at home, who knows where you were. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, once I started making more money is when I was like, okay, I'm reaching my financial goals earlier than I thought. So why not quit now? And I remember telling my parents like my 2 year plan, and they were like very in support of the 2 year plan. But when I was telling them, I was like 6 months in thinking like, okay, when am I gonna quit this job? And I remember telling my parents, and my parents were very supportive of me, but they were like, well, maybe you want to wait a little bit longer. Like, maybe you want to give it until that like 2 year mark. And I was just like, listen, I'm making this amount. I can support myself for this amount of time. I've saved this much money. Worst case, I have my degree, I have experience. It's not like I'm just taking a gap year to do nothing. Like, I still am, doing content and like trying to do other things as well, so I can always go back if it doesn't work out. But like, this is my shot. I want to focus 100% on this, and so I'm gonna leave. And like, once I explained it to them that way, they were supportive of me. Of course, they were obviously nervous because I don't think that generation understands that you can make money as easily on the internet. But I did, and I'm really, yeah, it was a great decision. Like, I'm really proud of myself that I was able to do it earlier than I had thought.
I mean, it's incredible that you were able to expedite your timeline so much, but even to have the foresight to have that 2 year plan, I think, admittedly, I also thought something very similar, right? Like, big consulting, like, no way I'm going to be here for a while.
Well, the idea is everyone goes in and it's like, I'm out in 2 years. Yeah, everyone goes in thinking they're going to leave.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Sometimes it's just a little longer for some people than others. And I think, obviously I'm very grateful for the path that we've been on, but I also see a lot of where we want to be in what you've done, Natalie. And I want to talk to you a little bit more about your mindset in making that jump, right? Like, obviously you were very tactical and analytical about it. Like, I saved X amount, I invested this much, I can cover myself for this much, and here's my plan to continue that money. But there's also a lot of emotions that go into the fact of you have I'm doing air quotes for people listening, a secure corporate full-time job. So talk to me a little bit about how you were able to kind of shift your mindset and be able to take this bigger risk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one thing I always like to say is that a lot of people are like, oh, like, I want to quit and I want to, do social media full time or something, but they haven't even started doing social media. And I'm like, I was doing it for 8 years before I quit my job. Like, it was not something that I did. I started an Instagram or a YouTube channel and I quit within 9 months. Like, it was 9 months after I started my corporate job, but 8 years after I started posting on YouTube. So it did take a very long time, and it took a lot longer for me than maybe some of my like influencer peers that started and then a year later they blow up and they can kind of do it full time. Like, it definitely was a longer journey for me, which I always say mine was like a very slow and steady growth, not like a viral moment. So if you want to do something like that, start now. Like, start as a side hustle. Start seeing how you can, slowly start building an audience or earning revenue. And it doesn't have to be social media. If it's a business, start working on it while you are at your job, because I never recommend for people to quit when they have no idea how it's going to be. Because for me, when I made that decision, in full transparency, I was making double my salary on social media. So I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm good for this amount of time. I know the money coming in for the next few months. I have this much saved. Like, I felt very comfortable. It wasn't as risky for me as if I was like, oh, I'm just going to quit and then start a YouTube channel and see where it goes. Because I think I would have been back at my corporate job really shortly after if I did something like that, where I had a lot of that security. But I'm so grateful that I started when I did. And that's not to say you missed the boat because you didn't start in 2011. Start today, and then in a year from now, you never know where things are going to be, like, or in 2 years from now or in 3 years from now. But if you just keep wishing, if only I started back then, if only I started back then, like, you're going to wish in 2 years, you're going to say, if only I started right now. So just start now and see where you can go while you're doing it on the side.
I like to say, all we have is right now. And if that's all we have, if you want to go make something happen, you probably should go start right now if you have the time or the will to go do it. And if you want something bad enough, you're going to put time and effort into it. That's incredible. I think it's incredible advice. But at the same time, I feel like there's like a stat. It's like 85% of content creators make less than 15 grand. So it's also really hard to make it full time. right? I mean, you've been in it for so long now that, you have your community of people, and thankfully you're able to support yourself, but it is really hard to continuously produce and create. I can't imagine.
Yeah. I think that's with so many jobs though too, right? Sorry to like jump in, Natalie, but I think it goes back to a point that, and I'm glad you went on kind of that diatribe for us, because I felt like you were speaking to me and Parker, because it does get discouraging sometimes, right? Looking at some of our influencer friends who I know we all are friends with, and I'm like, damn, they quit their job. Like they're doing podcasting full time, or they're doing community building full time, or speaking around the world full time. Why aren't we there? And I think it's really easy to lose sight of how long people have been working at things and why now. Parker and I have been doing this for 5 years now, and we're way further than I thought we would be, and not even close to where I think we can go. And so to your point of just start and try and be consistent with it, I think no matter what you're doing, content creation, podcasting, or entrepreneurship, starting is probably the biggest hurdle that most people don't do.
Starting, and then like once you start, having the mindset of like you're going to be consistent even if you don't see results, because sometimes I think people get excited to start and then they start and they're like, oh, I'm going to blow up because I put so much time into this, or I like really thought this through, and then a month goes by and it's nothing, and then it's hard to stay consistent. But I swear, like, you have to be consistent. That's the only way to grow. Of course, there's other strategies that you can implement, and like how can you increase your quality, or how can you like be better, or make it more shareable, or whatever that is. But if you are not consistent, it doesn't matter how good your content is or how great you are, people are going to forget about you. And even in a non-content related setting, in a business setting, if you are not consistently showing up every single day, then your business is not going to do well. Like you have to keep it going. So I think consistency, even when things aren't looking great, is really important.
I think that is incredible way to put it, because Sam and I have released over 350 episodes of our podcast, for example, right? We're consistent, and we knew that the only way we would be able to get to a place that we are today is if we just focused on quantity and just producing and putting things out and failing and learning and meeting people. But quantity was the name of the game for us. And what's great is as you continue to produce and you put quantity first and you're uploading a podcast or a video, over time, quality will improve too.
Yes,
right?
I always say that like, don't compare your first video to someone's 100th video, because if you look back, I mean, you went back and saw my old videos, like, so bad. Like, I told you I started on
ours are worse. Don't worry. Oh my God. Way worse.
But like, the only way to improve is by doing it, because then you're gonna start, you'll get more comfortable with even just like the editing software and your style, and you'll get quicker with it and all of this stuff. But on top of that, you'll start hearing what your audience wants. Like, your audience will start resonating with certain things, and maybe you would never know that, and you would never get a chance to improve if you're just sitting there being like, man, my stuff isn't as good, so I'm not going to upload this. Like, the good thing about the internet is that there's no upfront investment. Like, you don't have to pay $1,000 to upload your first video, so it has to be good. You can upload 100 videos and it's free, and you never know what's going to stick. So I think it's like very low risk, high reward.
I think so many young people that have business idea, content creation idea, a passion project, whatever it may be, they get so nervous that in order to seem legit and not young, that they have to be super professional with it. And I remember Parker and I thought the same way. We're going to start a podcast. Well, then we better make sure that this podcast has a script fully thought out, the best microphones we can get. We need to set up a podcast studio behind us, instead of just being like, we're probably going to suck the first 50 times we do this, but let's just do it and practice and get it out there. And I think that's this barrier to entry that I think a lot of young people in our generation struggle with, because they see finished, polished products, right? Those are probably the most popular people on social media, the biggest companies, but they have been doing it for years. And so if we're only looking up to the people that are perfectly polished, and we forget some of those folks that are maybe in the middle ground that have started and are not there yet, we have no one to look up to except for those people that are perfect. And I think it embeds this concept of imposter syndrome in our generation way earlier than before. In our parents' generation, if they wanted to start a business, it was the people in their town that also had that similar business. It wasn't on a global scale that they had to compare themselves to. So I think that's a lesson that we learned the hard way. Just start, to your point. It's okay if it's not perfect right off the jump. And stop comparing yourself to the rest of the world. Like, it's okay to be a little smaller at the start.
I agree, and that's how you learn, and everyone starts there. Like, everyone starts at zero. Everyone starts with bad quality. Like, it's unless they're backed by, like, a big production company or, you know, a big network, like, they're starting really scrappy, and I think that's okay.
So you're not scrappy as much probably anymore, right? You got hundreds of thousands of subscribers across social media channels. But you also are an owner of a business. Let's talk about that. Rella, tell us more about what you're building.
Yeah, so I started the software company because of a pain point that I had where not only as a creator, but with my agency that I had started, I was working with a lot of brands, working with their social media accounts, and I was just getting really frustrated with all of the tools that I was using to manage it. And I'm sure you guys even have a taste of that with like your podcast, with how many times, like you have to be on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, distribute it across all platforms, and it can be a lot. So imagine doing that for 10 clients at a time. It could just get really overwhelming. And so I hated all of the tools that were out there, and I wanted something that was more seamless and made specifically for content and with people working in social media. And I had used like ClickUp and Trello and Notion and like all of these other tools, and then I would use content schedulers, but they just like I just didn't like them. And so I wanted to start something that was made specifically for, you know, sharing social media content, managing social media content, and then working across teams and clients. So whether clients are other brands or whether it's other businesses that you're running, like I just wanted it to be really easy to manage all of that. And so that's essentially what Rella is. It's just really easy to collaborate with your team and your clients, and then also manage all of your content.
It's so cool that you noticed that you had a problem, and then you're like, you know what? I'm going to build something that's going to go solve it.
Yeah. That's kind of been like the mindset, if you can't tell, that I've had just even like with the YouTube channel or my business. I'm like, how hard can it be? And it's always a lot harder, but it's definitely still rewarding. Like I have this like confidence that, oh, I can do that. Like if I have like, why not? Like it might take me a while, but like I can try at least. I can get started with it. And so I do like that quality about myself, because I do think that it does like allow me to start things and see where they go. And I've gotten to try a lot of different careers and different paths, and I've learned a lot.
I think that's the best way to start any passion project. If you're passionate about solving the problem in it, just like you were with Rella and Parker and I were with Elevation Nation, because we literally wanted to talk to other cool 20 and 30-year-olds who had their life figured out. That's really what it came down to. And we needed it more than anyone else that we were talking to. And that's why we have kept going so far. And I think that's the easiest way, or maybe not the easiest, but the most strategic way to start anything. I think a lot of young people, Parker and I are guilty of this, and I'll tell you a quick story, like are obsessed with this concept of entrepreneurship, right? They think that's the freedom path, that's the coolest thing to do. And so they say, I want to be an entrepreneur, and then they go out searching for how they can be an entrepreneur. And so Parker and I were exactly like that. Senior year, second semester, we were taking less classes than we normally did. We were bored. We said, dude, I want to be an entrepreneur. We locked ourselves in a room with a couple other buddies and giant coffees from Starbucks and just brainstormed every single problem or business or idea that we could think of. And while maybe we thought that was going to work, it was horrible. It was just not, there was no passion behind it. We were grasping at straws trying to find problems to solve. And I think I'm so much more grateful that Elevation Nation came up organically. Parker and I felt lost as young adults in the real world. We realized a lot of young people feel the same way. Let's try to solve that problem. And same thing with Rella. You were working with many clients. You were balancing your own content creation across many different people. Now you have a product to make. And so for Elevation Nation and some of the young people that are out there that want to be entrepreneurs, try not to force fit something into that just so you can say you are a content creator or an entrepreneur. you will continue as you live your life and talk to more and more people. You will find those problems that need to be solved. You don't have to force them.
I totally agree. I think so many times, like, if you just want to start a business for the sake of starting a business, you're going to lose the passion quickly, because it is really hard to start a business. And when you're in the idea stage, everything is so exciting. You're like, oh my gosh, like, we're gonna make millions of dollars, and we're gonna get be the next Facebook, and like all of this stuff, and you're just so excited because you're in the idea stage. And then once you start getting in the mundane, like day to day, and you just have to like show up, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Like, not I don't know what to do as in like, oh, I'm bored. It's like, we have a problem, we have a churn problem, or we don't have enough revenue, or, how do we like fix these millions of bugs that are going on, or whatever it is, like, every business is going to have problems, and you're going to sit there and be like, I don't have the solution. How do I, or, hey, I've been trying this one thing and it's not working. Like, what do we do? If you don't have the passion for what you're doing, like, you're going to want to give up. Like, it's not fun most of the time.
I love where this is going. Because Elevation Nation came from a company that Sam and I started called Hired You. That was a company that we started because we thought it was a good idea to make money. Mm-hmm. But the passion behind it came second behind money. And we did it for a couple months. And you know what? We actually made some money. But what wasn't there is our passion to do it every single day. But what was really interesting, and I think this kind of goes against the conversation that we're having, is it led us to Elevation Nation. Because we learned that we could work together, and we learned what we were passionate about. And so it's almost like you have to fail in doing something to find that new thing that could be the thing that brings you that fulfillment.
Yeah. I definitely think that failure is a part of any entrepreneur's journey. And so I think with social media especially, failure is even harder, because you're not just like failing yourself or, failing the people that you're working with or something like that. You're also, I don't want to say it's not embarrassing. It should not be embarrassing, but like, you might feel embarrassed that, oh my gosh, I'm posting about this business, or I'm posting about this thing that I'm doing, and then it doesn't work. And what do I say? People are going to think I'm stupid, or people are going to think like, oh, I knew that was never going to work, or whatever, like thoughts are going through your head that you might start feeling insecure about it. And I've tried to kind of just think like, if a business doesn't work, if something doesn't do well, like, at least I tried. Like, at least I can say more than the people that might be thinking negatively. And also, most people aren't even thinking that much about you. I think it's more of a self-conscious thing, but I always say, like, I'd rather try. And there's so many successful entrepreneurs, if not every successful entrepreneur, that has failures under their belt. You just don't know about them because they failed, like they failed at a not that high of a level. But every single person has a lot of those in their story. And that led them, like you guys said, to the next thing.
I want to talk really quickly about something you said, Nat, around people judging you. I think some people at Elevation Nation know this story, but when Parker and I first came up with this concept of making content, doing a podcast, I begged Parker to make this an anonymous podcast. I was like, dude, I do not want my face behind this. I don't want people from like college or high school.
He was like, oh, work.
Work might get mad. Yeah. Like, I was like, bro, we cannot actually put our voices and our faces behind this thing. Like, there's just no way. And finally, Parker convinced me, thank goodness. And that first, I would say 6 months to a year, as we started continuing to post content, I got a lot of text messages from people saying, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? What's the reason? Like, and I think to your point, we build it up in our heads of, oh, I'm an imposter. I'm not big yet. These people are making fun of me. They're judging me, whatever. Now looking back on it, at least we tried. And now you have those same people reaching out saying, you're doing Elevation Nation full time, right? Like, you guys must be making so much money. You're all over my LinkedIn, my TikTok, my Instagram, my Facebook. You're everywhere. How are you doing that all? And I think it's really funny when the voices shift from those that were judging you at the beginning to now the ones that think you're the coolest thing since sliced bread. It's like, yeah.
I don't think you're that cool.
You don't have to. You're stuck with me. So
Yeah, no, but I agree. That happens a lot. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when someone is making fun of someone for trying something. Like if someone's like, "Oh my God, look at them. They're like trying to be an influencer." Or, "Oh, look, did you see they're trying to start this business." And I'm like, you know, every single person that you look up to, every person that you watch, every person that you aspire to be started there. Like I don't understand the concept of like making fun of someone from the beginning, because it's like every single person started at that point, like literally everyone. So why would you make fun of them? Like I like can't wrap my head around it, and I think it just is
Well,
like
it's because they don't want to do it
insecurity.
themselves. Yeah,
Yeah,
and like they
yeah.
haven't been through that journey, and then they want to lift themselves up. Like I'm at the point, Sam. Like we create, and we just, it's not for us to determine if our content's good or bad or not. Like we can bring our best self and our best effort, but once we put it out into the world, it's up to the people who take that in to determine if it was good or bad. And that's how the world works, right? If we're creating a podcast, a conversation, and we do it to the best of our abilities, then we did our job.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I always think that always like was so confusing to me when people would make fun or like care or talk about people that are trying or in the early stages of something, because I'm like, what do you think like other people did? Like I don't get it. Like I don't.
That's a great
I
point.
think, I mean, I think though, Natalie, it's one reason why we were so excited to welcome you into the nation, and why every single elevator we think has this elevator mindset, right? They have the ability to, you know, embody mental fortitude, which is knowing who they are at their core, being confident in themselves, knowing their vision of where they want to go, and what truly fuels them and inspires them. And I think we kind of joke about this concept, but there are a lot of people who aren't like that. They're cool just like having their 9 to 5, making fun of people behind a screen, and like living their life and sipping some wine and watching Netflix every night. And like that's their thing. And I won't make fun of them because that works for them. But I want to be part of the people that are getting after whatever dream they want, falling on their face, have a community of people that pick them back up and help them find their next thing. And to Parker's point, I think it's insecurity. I think it's maybe not knowing what they want at their core. And so they see other people attempting to chase a dream, and there's a little bit of jealousy there. But I'm grateful that we have people now in our network like you who did try and succeed and are continuing to try new things and grow their brands, and all the other elevators that inspire us every day. It's like if we surround ourselves with people that are pushing for the best, then good things are going to keep happening to all of us.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I love it. All right, let's move us on. We have another segment that we want to do with you, Nat, real quick. It's our rapid fire segment. We got a couple random questions. We're just going to throw them at you unprepared, and first thing that pops into your head. Okay? All right. We mentioned entrepreneurship sucks more than people think. Like, I'm just going to be blunt. There's a lot of not fun things that we all have to do that we have to figure out. After a full day of entrepreneurship, what is the one thing that you do to unwind and try to disconnect from the reality that is running a business to personal Natalie life?
It's not great, but watch TikTok.
Okay. So that is working for you though, because you're finding trends.
I guess I am, but I like to just mindlessly scroll.
Okay.
Or listen to like a stupid podcast, like one that's not like educational, or like it's just like funny, or like
Yes.
you know, just something that like I can turn my brain off and not pay attention.
Fair enough. Turn the brain off. That's good. At least you're hopefully not looking for trends then when you're aimlessly scrolling, and you can just actually unplug.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Good.
Okay, I saw on YouTube you've posted over 1,000 videos. Is
Oh my
there?
God, that's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I mean it says like right under your name, 1,000
Yeah.
videos. Is there one video that was like that sticks out to you? Then you're like, that was the most fun video I've ever made.
Oh, that's a good question. I love any of my like travel content. So any content where I'm in a new city, or when I am just like out of my comfort zone, like that's my favorite type of content to like look back and watch. Or just like I love vlogs. I mean, vlogs are just so much fun. They're like my favorite type of videos to film, because I can look back. Like sometimes I'll go and I'll watch like my college vlogs, and I'm like, wow, that's like, I remember that. Like that's such a fun memory. But I would say like my travel content and my travel vlogs, because it pushes me to like tell a story with like just the mundane, or not even travel's not mundane, but even like the day, like my weekly college vlogs or something, like you're forced to tell a story with just like your day-to-day life. And so I think it actually makes me more creative, which is always good, rather than like a sit-down video, which you don't have as much creativity.
I have a question. This is not rapid, but you inspired me. Do you ever think about the fact, because I think about this all the time, that our children now are going to have so much content to like know what's going on in their parents' heads when they were in their 20s and 30s? Like, it's insane, right?
No, that's like honestly one of my favorite things about YouTube, though, is that my kids will be able to see their mom at age 15 and onwards. Like, I think that's really cool. And I think it like, I always wish that I could like see my parents when they were growing up, and now besides just photos. And so I love that they're going to be able to do that.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Bro, you're married. You got to start thinking about that stuff.
I mean, I never thought about that.
He's freaking out now.
Your kid is
I'm not freaking out.
Someday.
I think it's kind of cool. I think it's
very cool.
Yeah. I mean, you go back on your Instagram. I mean, you're posting way, way back the days. I mean, middle school, high school. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, though. I mean, my profile's public. I don't know about yours, Sam, but.
It is. Even like videos, though, and like it's going to be really cool to hear, have our kids hear what was going on in our heads, right? The struggles that we're going through as a 20-something-year-old that we talk about, I can only imagine.
They're going to laugh.
Really
they're going to be like, that's not a problem we deal with anymore.
No way, bro. I did. No way. It's got to be similar. We'll see.
Well, I like, not only do I obviously like post on the internet and stuff, but I like love journaling. And so I'm like so excited for one day even to like give my kids my journals so that they can see like more the deep stuff, like
I love that.
What I was like thinking in the moment.
That's cool. That is cool.
100%.
Who knows where we'll be? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Oh my God. All right. Well, last rapid fire for you, Nat. You see all those books behind my head. We've asked a lot of people for a book recommendation. You got one for us?
Oh yeah. I read one recently, like earlier this year, that was really good, called Hidden Potential. I don't know if you guys have read it.
No way.
Grant. Have you read it?
It's on there.
Oh, it is. Okay. Nice.
I don't know if you can see it or not.
I love that book. That's I thought it was really good. And I think I've read maybe one other Adam Grant book, or that might have been the first one. I don't know. I haven't read that one. But
what's the other one?
Maybe that is my first one that I've read.
Blink?
I've just like seen his books. I'm not sure. So, but I loved Hidden Potential, and I thought it was good because like I think a lot of people think like, oh, if I'm not like innately talented, then like I can't do something. And that book just like completely wrecks that point of view and is like, no, it just takes consistency and like practice and showing up and kind of like the things we were talking about.
I think it preaches exactly to something us three really love, which is just start, stay consistent, and keep pushing yourself to do a little bit better every single time. And you might blink and have 1,000 YouTube videos up before you know it, and your children are going to be watching them. So you never know.
Well, the book's awesome because it like literally describes that no one who makes it in your eyes has this like superpower. They're all normal people.
Exactly. Like it's literally, I always think that, and that's why even for me, like I've been kind of in a rut with my podcast lately. Like I haven't really filmed any episodes lately, and like I've just been in like such a rut with it. And I want to I'm going to start doing virtual guests again and bringing on like just cool guests because I'm so limited here in Miami if I only did like people around me or like when I travel. So I was listening to this podcast, Modern Wisdom. Do you guys listen to that podcast at all? And anyways, it's more like he just has like cool guests on, and I was like, wait, why? Like I can do this. Like I can have. I mean, his are in person. He's like super high produced, and like he's one of the top podcasts. So I'm not comparing myself to his like quality level, but I'm like, I can have these interesting conversations with people. I don't need to be in person with them. I can have these guests on. Like, why am I limiting myself just for what? To have like cooler quality because we're in person? Like I don't know. So I'm starting to, like, I just view that guy as, like, a normal person. Like, why can't I do that in another, with other people? So.
Well, now I get to coach you as a new friend in Elevator.
I was going to say, you're going to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to add on that obviously the quality is better if we're all in person and can hang out and have a good time. But I would argue that a main part of having a podcast is connecting with that person so that they're in your network and you get to learn from them. And so whether that's in person or not, which we all will get together in person one day, I know that, but I'm grateful that we got to have this opportunity to meet virtually because I think it just helps build connections with people all over the world. So
I agree.
I'm excited to see where you take it. Natalie, I want to end on our final question, which every single elevator, every single member of Elevation Nation has an answer for. It's our mental motto, which is a phrase that embodies who you are and how you live your life. So Natalie, what is your mental motto?
Yeah, I'm going to copy the famous Nike slogan, but
Nice.
Just do it. I think for me, that's literally how I've lived my life is just I have an idea and I'm like, just start, like, just do it. Like, just take the first step. And I am, even though not everything has worked in the sense of not everything has been this success or like has gotten me, you know, a bunch of money or a lot, whatever, however you deem success, I think I've learned from everything that I've done. And I would much rather live in that mindset of like, just try something and start it and see where it goes than regretting like, dang, why didn't I do that? You know? And so I kind of lived my life with the famous Nike motto.
They did well.
They did a great job. Great motto.
Yeah, I love it. Natalie, thank you for joining Elevation Nation. We're so excited to welcome you to the nation as well. We're very grateful to be able to learn from you and hear your stories on how you just started to upload some videos to YouTube and now you're here sitting, starting a business, running a business, still uploading videos to YouTube, and now you want to maybe be inspired to get that podcast up and running again. That sounds like you're elevating. Thank you so much for joining Elevation Nation, Natalie. We're very grateful to have you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This is great. I'm excited to be a part of the nation.
Until next week, Elevation Nation, peace.